Okay, and we're back. And in this episode, I wanted to make some barrels that you can break and find items. Now, we don't have all of our items made because we need to make an inventory before we get too far on like refining our items. So let's just make a barrel where you can find items, and then we'll make a chest and some crates, and they'll all have the same kind of makeup. But first thing we need to do is in our assets folder, let's create a new folder called breakables. I've already done that because what I did is I brought in my barrel model. And what you should do is once you have that folder, bring in your barrel model or crate or whatever you want to use for this. But either way it goes. What we need to do next is drag this into our world. And make sure it's the right size that you want it. So I'm going to make mine a little bit like that. Like that looks good. Like, hold on. Whoa, wrong way. All right, like that. All right, so once I have it like that, what I'm gonna do is, while it's highlighted, I'm gonna come up here to this selection mode, and I'm gonna change it to where it says fracture. And now, I'm gonna be able to fracture this. But the first thing I need to do is I need to generate a new one. It's called a geometry collection. That's what we're gonna generate. So press new, and put it in your breakables folder, and it's going to be called geometry collection _ wooden barrel. That's what it is for me. So I'm going to create geometry collection. Now that we have that, we need to split this geometry collection open. So the way that we'll do that is we'll click fracture right here, and you can click any of these fractures, but for me I'm just going to do a uniform one, and you'll see it makes like all these breaks right here. And that's just the level 1 fracture. So if you're happy with that, what you have to do is press fracture. So I'm going to press fracture here. And you're going to notice that it's going to break into 23 pieces. Now, what you could do is change the seed on the fracture. So scroll down, and you're going to see something that says seed or something like that. Random seed. Change it to something random. Right? And then do fracture again. And watch, now it's going to break into 115 pieces. And if you're cool with that, cool. Now all you have to do is go back up to selection mode. And now you've got something that can break. So first step is our barrel can break. Now let's go to the geometry collection that it made. So it made its own folder inside of our breakables folder. And there's our geometry collection right there. So we can actually delete this one out the world. And let's double click on this first. First thing first, let's set some things up for it. So the mass, I'm gonna leave the mass alone right now, but we need to scroll down where it says damage threshold. This is how much damage it's gonna take to break that item. Right now, we'll leave it alone because we'll come back and play with it if we need to. The next thing that we need to do though is there's something that says removal. So for removal, we need to have remove on sleep so that once it gets into our world, it removes out of our world. So we don't want it to stay there forever. Unless you want it to, then don't click that. And how long should it stay there? Let's just put it at 250. Right? Let's see that happen. Then other than that, that should be good. So save and close that. Now, in this same folder, let's make a blueprint. So blueprint class, actor, and it's going to be BP barrel or barrel BP. And here, what you want to do is add a geometry collection. There it goes. And the geometry collection that you want is the one that you just made, this barrel. So plug that right in. And there it goes right there. Save, compile. Now, on the right-hand side, we need to make sure everything is set the same way that we had it set before. So in your geometry collection over here, come over here and type in damage. And this is where we're going to change to damage, okay? The next thing that we need to do for this is make sure that the removal also came through. So let's check removal. And yeah, it did. Perfect. All right, so next thing is The next thing you need to do is search for break and notify breaks. So we want this, whenever this is broken, we want this to notify the game that it got broken. So let's turn that on. Now that that is on, we can go over on the right hand side, and there should be something. This is like on chaos break event. That's the one. And it's going, whenever this is called, that's that means the thing got broken. So let's do a do once from there. And what we can do now is we can spawn an item. So let's spawn an actor from class. And we're going to do our money bag. So spawn coin bag, coin bag. Now, where will we spawn it from? Just say get actor transform. Get actor transform. Wow. So it's going to spawn it straight in that same spot. Now, last thing we need to do is make sure this collision is set on always. Spawn, ignore collisions. And that should be set up for your barrel. A couple other things we can do though is we can, so like when you break it right now, the pieces are going to be like, you're going to be able to walk over the pieces. We don't really want that. So we need to make a collision profile. Let me show you this. So right here, if you look at the geometry collection and we go down to, I believe it's like collision or something. It might be its own thing. All right, you're going to, under the physics, you're going to see collision profile per level. This is what we need to change because at this level, we want it to be, you know, solid. But when it gets broken, we don't want any collision to happen to it other than being collided with the floor and like, you know, the world. So let's fix that real quick. Let's go to edit and project settings. In your collision over here underneath engine, click that. Open up presets. And you're going to see all these different collisions that you can already use. Let's add one to that. So we're going to say new. We'll call it debris. And for the collision, we're going to say, I think it's physics only. Yeah, let's do physics only. For the object type, we're going to call it destructible. In the description, something like debris from chaos. Now, for the visibility and the camera, turn it to ignore. And also for the pawn, turn it to ignore and just accept. And now you've got a new one added to this list. You'll see it debris down there. Perfect. Now you can close here and we'll open up what we just saw here. Collision profile per level, 2 and 3. So the first level that we have 0, that means when it's regular. The number 1 is when it's the first break, and number 2 is the second break. So for the number 1, we don't need to bother that at all. But for number 2, let's type in debris. And then just type that right down here. And here as well. Okay, compile and save. All right, perfect. Oh, you know what we need to do next? We need to create a impact field. So when we hit this with our player, we want it to break. And in order to break it, it's going to break because we're using like physics, but we want it to break correctly. So we need to create a master field, which is like a invisible space that will break breakable objects in Unreal Engine. So in the same folder, let's just right click and click on blueprint class. Instead of one of these, let's just type in master field. You'll see FS master field. We'll select that one and we're going to call it impacts field underscore BP. All right. Now, when you open it up, you're going to see this little blue thing like this. And that's cool. This is exactly what we want. Now, on the right-hand side, right where it says activation type, it says delay. Change it to trigger, right? compile and save. That's the first thing. And then in the event graph, right on event begin play, just pull off of this one and say trigger. And then type in CE trigger. That's the one you want. Okay. Next thing we need to do is change the magnitude. So back on your impact field, let's change the actual magnitude. Search for magnitude. And each one of these, like, we're going to set as 200. So the magnitude input 200, radial magnitude 200, and directional magnitude 200. That way it won't be too strong. It'll be like just right. The next thing we need to search for over here in the details is lifespan. So we want to use the lifespan. We need that to be on. Because we don't want it to last forever. Lastly is we need to attach this impact field or spawn it into our game at some point so that it breaks it. So what we can do is go to your third person character, or at least that folder. So blueprints, here's the folder. Click on my character. Then I go to the animations here. And remember we made that attack notify? Let's just add on to that. So in the attack notify, all we've got to do is from mesh component, you could say get socket transform. And we're going to hook this up to something right here before the return node. We're going to hook it up to spawn actor because we're about to spawn that actor. What actor? The one that we just created, the impact field. So search for impact field. Perfect. Hook that up right there. Now you're not done because you got to tell it where to spawn it, which bone name. So in order to create a socket, we need to go to our characters. So one folder back, the light blue. Click on the light blue. And this is your skeleton. Go down to where it says right hand. Right click on that and say add socket. Once you do, a socket will pop up down here. And on the right hand side, you can call your socket, I'm gonna call mine impact with a lowercase I. All right, so in this same space right here, I just write that same socket name, impact. Compile and save. Perfect. And now what's going to happen is every time he swings, it's going to do what we coded it to do before, but it will also add an impact so he can break stuff. So let's actually check that out. I think everything should be working together. Blueprints, assets, breakables. Let's put the BP in the world, the blueprint there. And I'm going to make a few of these just in case, you know, it doesn't work or whatever. We're going to have to adjust some values. So, you know, you could either craft a knife, which let's try it with the knife first. Boom. And we're going to equip the knife. We're going to go up to these things and we're going to swing. Boom. And then look, there's money right in there. Now let's wait a minute. Let's see these things disappear. As you notice, there's no collision with them after they break. But you see them disappearing into the floor. Now you can add sound to those, and I'm going to do a whole video about sound when we go through everything and add sound. But that is how you do a barrel or a crate or anything like that that you can break. I'm going to make some crates. I'm going to make a few different variations of this same thing so that, you know, you can have set pieces in your world that you can destroy. And it'll be fun because you can always put different items in there. So that's what we wanted to do. But before we leave, let's go ahead and make that system variable so that you can put different items in there. So what we did is we spawned the actor from class. And that's cool. But we spawned this actor, coin bag. In order to make this a variable, right click and promote it to a variable. Now you can spawn any variable that you want there. And you can even turn the eyeball on so that in your world, when you have barrels, like now I have this barrel here on the right hand side, I could spawn maybe not the money bag, but maybe I want a coin. And in this one, I want the coin bag. And in this one, I want a stone knife. Let's see that, and then I'm gonna end the video because we've learned what we needed to. All right, so let's craft this stone knife real quick. Bop, bop. We should actually test these barrels with the torches. So let's test it out here. So swing with, oh, wait, swing, boom. This one has a coin in it. Cool. What about this one? Oh, it has the money pot in it. Cool. And this one has a stone knife. Perfect. Exactly what you want. Now we can put any item we want to in any crate or barrel. So that's what we wanted to learn in this video. This will help us when it comes to building the world and making it more interactive and fun. So thanks for joining me. I'll holler at y'all in the next one. Peace.
Run to the money, on the feet, don't fail. The DA and the judge, wanna do their best to jail. I done heard it all.